Hello, I'm James Bradfield from the MSPpedia. That was Modular Living by Eat Lights, Become Lights, the title track of his record. And I'm standing in for Stu tonight. Thanks for trusting me, Stu. It's just me and some very old tunes, some not so old and some new. And this next track reminds me of the autumn of '85. This is Georgia Ruth with A Week of Pines. That was Big White Cloud by John Cale off Vintage Violence. I probably could have picked something a bit more experimental from his back catalogue, but that's my favourite Sunday song, so it's kind of appropriate. I just saw him play up at Green Man Festival a couple of weeks back, and it's probably the best time I've ever seen him play live. So there you go, my Welsh hero, Mr. John Cale. The next track is from White Hills, coming up after these messages. That was Forever in Space Enlightened by the White Hills off their new album So You Are. I switched on to this band a couple of years back when they released an album called HP1, and I don't understand them, but I just find them intriguing. Anyway, let me and Stuart know what you think of the show and the music I'm playing. Get in touch via the usual ways. Email stuart.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk. Twitter hashtag JDBFreakZone if you want to get in touch with me, or find Six Music on Facebook. I recorded this a few days ago, so we're not live in the studio, but we still love to hear some of your thoughts on the music. Yes, another Welsh artist. This band is called Troubadour with a W, and I've been a fan of them for quite a while. They've released a lot of EPs, and they come from Llandilo. They're comprised of Owen Gwilym, and Harald Wiswick. That name is kind of Scandinavian, I think. And this is called Drws, which means door in Welsh. That was Drws by Troubadour. This next track is from the 80s, some genuine indie heroes of mine. This band were called Big Flame, and I first heard this band on John Peel in the 80s, and I started sending off postal orders. Most of you probably don't know what that is now, kind of thing, to get their records. And Greg Keefe and the band kind of responded to all my fan mail, which was really cool. Kind of like you were sending, some silly lad in the valleys of Wales, kind of like letters back from my useless questions about his music. And this was probably their biggest kind of like indie hit. This is called Why Pop Stars Can't Dance. That was Queen Majesty by the Techniques, another record I heard on John Peel in the mid-80s. I used to watch the sparrows fly by in the summertime to that track. I absolutely love it. I'm James Ian Bradfield from the MSPpedia. I'm sitting in for Stuart McConey while he's off on his holidays. And the next artist is playing at Festival number 6 in Port Miriam on Sunday the 15th of September. We'll also be performing there, the Manics, at the festival on the Saturday night. And this song for me is one in a long line of songs that have just narration running through them. I love rock songs when they have narration in them. You think of the best examples, If by Telly Savalas, The Gift by Velvet Underground. John Cale narrates through that one. And this for me is another one in a long line of tradition of narrated rock songs. This is The Other Window by Wire. That was Twist, Run, Repulsion off Empires and Dance, Simple Minds. I've gone on about how this era of Simple Minds for me is kind of unsurpassed, in terms of how creative and how inventive they were. And that's an interesting thing, I was always searching around the margins of these bands that I loved in the 80s, whether it be a B-side of Echo and the Bunnymen, or whether it be Shriekback, or whether it be Simple Minds, and used to find just really interesting stuff in the margins of the bands, in their B-sides, etc. So sometimes the B-side is where the band really lives. I'm James Bradfield from the MSPpedia, and I've been a fan of the Freak Zone for a while. I remember telling Stuart when we did our gig at the O2 for National Treasures, I mentioned to him that I was a big fan of the Freak Zone. And Sean and Nick kind of listen to it sometimes as well. Nick is a massive krautrock fan, and Sean definitely lives in the margins of electronic music, which is kind of popped up in the next record. I remember that night Stuart was wearing a shirt adorned with exotic fruits, I think. He likes a flashy shirt. Oh, Stuart does. Ever since I first met him in the early 90s, he does like a good flashy shirt. Anyway, this next track is from a band called Kriedler. They were formed in Dusseldorf in 1944, I think. I think they share a member with To Rococo Rot as well. I bought their last record, Speculation. Is it a palindrome, To Rococo Rot? Yeah, it's a palindrome, isn't it? And ABBA's a palindrome as well. But anyway, this band is called Kriedler, and this translates as Red Waste, I think. This is called Rote Wust. That was Bitten Blues by Little Arrow. This next track's a bit of a strange one. I've listened to this guy for quite a long time now, for around about 20 years or so. It's an old, kind of like a Welsh folk singer called Mered, and this song kind of literally haunts me. And it's an example of sometimes just one voice is enough, if it's good enough. This song literally translates to Longing for Marion, I think. And this is called Hiraeth am Verion. That was Think Deep by Coleman Hawkins off the Hawkflies High album. It's kind of got into that because of Sean, my cousin, who's my brother really. Sean in the Manics used to play trumpet in the Clenning Colliery band when he was young, and he was into lots of jazz and stuff, and he kind of got me into it, so blame him for me playing that one, definitely. This is James Bradfield from the Manic Preachers, standing in for Stuart McConey, the great Stuart McConey, and there will be a radio show left for you when you get back, sir. Don't worry about it. This next track is from another 80, proper 80, kind of like a hardcore hero. This is Grant Hart, who was the drummer in Husker Du. He's released this solo album called The Argument. He said he was inspired by Lost Paradise by William Burroughs and Paradise Lost by Milton. This is my favourite track on the record, definitely. This is off his new album, The Argument, and this is called War in Heaven. Okay, so next track up is another artist that decides to release his songs on vinyl only. As I think. I've never managed to get hold of his stuff in any other form. He's a guy, I think from West Wales again. A theme is definitely developing here. He's called H. Hawkline, and this is from the Ghouls EP. This is called Telegram. That was Roses in Snow off the Marble Index record. It was an extra track, actually, on the Marble Index record that was remixed by John Cale, by Nico. Just another example of, if the voice is good enough, you just don't need much else around it. There was a tribute concert to Nico once that John Cale kind of curated at the Royal Festival Hall, and I sang a song with his band called Janitor of Lunacy, and Jesus, it was hard. It's really hard to sing a song, so I actually kind of have first-hand experience of knowing how good she was to convey those songs. Anyway, this next track, I don't know much about this artist. It's an artist called Clark. Well, basically I got this record because Ashley in Spillers Records in Cardiff recommended this record to me, which, people in Spillers always recommend a record to you, and you kind of take a choice off them once a month. And I've just played this record endlessly without even knowing what the artist is about. So this is Tooth Moves by Clark. Was in Dina Hand. My German is not good, obviously. I think that means in your hand, I think. From Popple Vey, which kind of translates as meeting place. Okay, let's stop all that translation nonsense. I remember I just got into Popple Vey, actually, when I was buying a birthday present for Nicky around about 4 years ago. I bought it from the Rough Trade shop in Notting Hill, and he's a massive krautrock fan, so this was something I knew he didn't have, and I've kind of got into it. They did a lot of the soundtracks for Werner Herzog's films, films like Fitzcarraldo, or Aguirre Wrath of God and Nosferatu. And every time I get a record from those guys, I just absolutely love it. So next, we've got a tiny bit of serendipity coming up here. I'm going to be picking a track from Will Sargent, the guitarist from Echo and the Bunnymen. When I was talking about earlier about searching around on the margins of the B-sides of bands that you loved when you were young to find, where they really lived. And this kind of like, he did this record called Themes for Grind, which Can I just read you something from the sleeve notes? Grind, the character, first came to life in the minds of Bill Butt and Will Sargent in 1980. He was from a faraway place with no language and little understanding. He lived the other side of a trapdoor in an attic. He bicycled uphill to work in a factory, resharpening blunt razor blades. He ate instant junk food. He bicycled uphill home again. He was always surrounded in a cloud of blue smoke. In 1985, Grind metamorphosized into a city crazy with Warrior's past. He hacked and slashed at gas pumps. He tried to cut automobiles in two with his broadsword. He gets a job as a taxi driver. In 1993, Grind drifted into the old port of Bristol, England, with the memories and skills of a Spanish conquistador. One more violent and crazed than the rest. He is befriended by two young street kids. He sees how they are exploited and oppressed, just as he once had exploited and oppressed the proud Inca peoples. He sets out to redress the balance. Grind is a film character without a film. Effing sad, really. So those liner notes have Bill Drummond's fingerprints all over them, in my estimation. This is Scene 5, Will Sargent, from Themes for Grind. So that was from the soundtrack to the film Rumblefish, and the film to which the soundtrack belongs was described by Francis Ford Coppola, the director, as Camus for kids, which is probably why myself and the Manics were so obsessed with it when we were young. The whole kind of soundtrack is composed by Stuart Copeland of The Police, and he credits himself as the rhythmatist, and he's kind of dressed in a kind of white lab coat on the sleeve, which kind of always made me chuckle when I was young, but I've got a lot of affection for that soundtrack. Next up, the great Guy Garvey with his Finest Hour. I'll be back on Six Music on Tuesday, 10th September on Radcliffe from Coney show, where you can hear the whole of Rewind the Film in full for the very first time. Maybe the last time for some of you, on Album of the Day Plus. My last track is coming up. I'd like to say thank you to Stu for entrusting me with this seat. Hope I didn't destroy your listenership, dear sir. And this band is called Russian Circles. I got into them a while back now. The first record I got from them was an album called Geneva, and they are heavy. If you thought My Bloody Valentine were loud live, these guys go past it, but in a different kind of way. It really does shake you apart. And this is off the album Empros. This is called Mladic, Russian Circles. Thanks for listening. Take care.